Hi, everyone. This is Ron Gordon with Gordon Training Systems, more specifically, six-figure trainers and coaches. I am excited about what I am going to cover today, and I know you're going to be excited too when you see what this can do. Okay, call it what you will. The January Rush Playbook is what we're going to talk about, turning resolutions into revenue. And by the way, when we do this, we're also creating something incredibly powerful for you, and that is the ultimate marketing funnel for the fitness professional. I'm going to talk more about that, but this is an opportunity that is just incredible. You can use it any time of the year. What I'm going to talk about now, I highly encourage you to use it every month of the year, but January is a particularly interesting and exciting time to implement this plan. This is going to take some work and you're going to go through some trial and error, but when you get done, you're going to have an asset that you can use forever. And what I mean by doing some work is getting everything tailored to exactly your situation, which is going to be a little bit different than mine, but the concepts, the principles are going to be exactly the same. Turning resolutions into revenue. Number one, I mentioned before, we got a January input of new people coming in. That's the wave that we want to catch. And we're creating a duplicatable experience, which all funnels down into your marketing plan. What we're putting together today, you are going to be able to use forever in your marketing efforts. I'm really passionate about this, and I have to tell you a quick story. And it really starts out with my best January 1st ever. Some of you may have heard the story before. New Year's Eve had no one signed up for the event that I'm going to lay out for you today. In other words, I laid this event out completely and encouraged registrations, pre-registration. I had no one signed up on New Year's Eve. I was at a friend's house, and a lot of my members were there, and I was downstairs playing pool, and I got a call to come upstairs because the host of the party was very interested in what we were doing. So I went upstairs and I gave my best presentation about my business, my unique value proposition. I went through all that kind of stuff. It was really very cool because my members were very quiet, listening and supporting, confirming what I was saying. And I invited the host to come to tomorrow's workout, which would have been New Year's Day. Her first response is, well, then I have to stop drinking tonight. I said, well, it's at 10 o'clock, so you got plenty of time. And I also included everyone else in the room, members, non-members, everyone else. It was a global invitation. And then I went back downstairs and played pool. The next morning, New Year's Day, I got up and I looked, and we'd had a fresh snowstorm. So there was about 6 inches of snow in the driveway. And I went in and heated up the gym, not knowing if anyone was going to show up. And then 10 minutes before the start of the event that I'm going to go through here with you today, 10 minutes before, people started driving in. And there were actually 20 people in attendance at that event. I gave it my best things I'm going to lay out for you right now. And every one of those 10 people signed up. And that is incredible. Every one of those 10 people became new members. In fact, the person who had hosted the meeting went on some months later to become my general manager, which was unbelievable. And it all happened because I had a plan in place and I was going to offer the plan and hopefully someone would show up. In my last minute sales, if you will, my sales presentation that I was kind of backed into went really well. And that's why I'm excited. That's why I'm excited today. I'm excited for you because I know you can do the same thing. I had a system that would allow me to sign up 10 people at once, every day in and day out. A lot of people don't have that in the fitness business. They have a kind of a mishmash of things that they put together. But the best part is this system did not depend on me. And probably the best feedback of all I ever got came from my members who would come back to this event, even after they'd been in the business, in my training program for 5 or 6 months. They would come back because they wanted to understand more of what we were doing. And this became such an effective tool, a marketing funnel, if you will, that I made it mandatory. If you were going to become part of my gym, you had to go to one of these sessions. It was mandatory, and it paid off so many ways. Okay, the goal for today: capitalize on the January opportunity and create a long-term marketing plan that produces results. So it's a win. But this is, when it's all said and done, is about you and your successes, creating a system, your ultimate marketing funnel. And you're going to be able to do this every single month for this year, the rest of the year, and years to come. First and foremost, what's going to become critical is your mindset. There's a couple things I want to review, and you may or may not feel the same way I do now, but it's important that you grasp what I'm saying here. A person with an experience is never at the mercy of a person with a theory. Person with a theory about fitness, a person with a theory about your gym is never the same as a person with an experience. And what we want to do in this event, this marketing funnel, is we want to give people an experience so that they are not the victim of someone else. Now, your culture is your advantage. If you take two gyms, identical, same footage, the same facilities in terms of equipment, and you have them on the same street, one is going to be more productive in a better gym than the other, and the difference is going to be culture. Culture is you. It's unique. And you can influence culture, but at the end of the day, your culture really is what other people say about you, which is kind of interesting, but you can influence it. And that's what we're going to show you how to do today. And another mindset thing I want you to really grasp, you never get a second chance to change a first impression. In other words, you can't change the first impression. It is what it is, and it's an opportunity. And I will go further, one step further, and say no other industry has the advantage that we have here. And that is really kind of important to understand, that what we're doing, most other businesses can't do. Culture rules everything about your business, and we want to make that culture a world-class experience. Really important. What's the job of the CEO? This is another perspective thing, and I could include this in the mindset, but the job of the CEO is to develop the resources, mission, vision, and culture. That's your job. No one else can do it. It's really important that we not only create the culture, but we demonstrate the culture in everything we do so that other people can feel it. For example, safe results. You're safe. If your gym is described as safe, results driven, kind, and inclusive, that's your culture. If it's considered dangerous, insensitive, those kinds of things, that's your culture. Of course, there's much more to this, but these are the things that are going to be relevant to our conversation today. Number one, we want to create an experience showcasing your culture and make it a duplicatable funnel. What we're going to put together here in the next few minutes is a 1 hour long event, which consists of an orientation, an educational piece, an experiential piece, which is, when it's all said and done, an immersion. These people that come into your gym, we want to immerse them in your culture right away so that they have an experience, and a good experience. Now, what would you call this experience? In the past, it was called free trial, open house. I don't like either of those words today. I think they've been really misused. A seminar, I don't think so. Quick start, on ramp, that doesn't work for me. The words that I use now that seem to make the most sense, it's a fitness orientation workshop. To me, that's non-threatening, and that's going to include the most number of people that you can have involved in a positive sort of way, without threatening them, without pushing them away. Number one thing we're going to do, plan this on paper first. Really important. Commit the process to your calendar. In other words, take out your calendar and write down dates when you're going to offer this event. Well, let's talk about the event a little. Well, let's talk about promoting it, first of all. In my story, I told you how I promoted right up until the last minute, and that's what you need to do. Promote. You're going to promote with existing clients, members, and customers, and you're going to make announcements in class. You're going to put up signs. You're going to put up flyers that we have a fitness orientation workshop coming up such and such a time. And it's going to be crafted in such a way that your existing members will want to come back. You're also going to put it on your website. I've had clients pay me a great deal of money for mentoring and put this whole plan together, but then they don't list it on the website, which is a little weird to me and strange, but it should be on your website. You promote it to friends and family of your current people, social media, And by and large, I don't think you really need to spend a lot of paid advertising on this, because if we work our members right and we have the right culture, they're automatically out there promoting for us. Keep in mind that you want to promote within a 15-minute drive time from work or home, because if it's longer than that, statistically, people are not going to show up. Be confident, be assertive, perhaps even offer a guarantee. And I can talk about that a little bit later, but you want to have a world-class experience. This is really important. Number one, cover all the legal requirements ahead of time, the waivers, insurance, all of that sort of thing that you're required to fill out. Make sure you get that done ahead of time if you can. If not, and in my case, the example I showed earlier where everybody showed up, I had a table all set up and paper forms there. Didn't have to be paper. It could have been a computer, whatever, but I had a way for them to get that all taken care of. Then the next thing I had was an icebreaker. This is really important because these people are nervous. They're coming to us. They're nervous. They're not quite sure. If they have a friend with them that's already a member, of course, it's not as important, but never anticipate that. Always anticipate that they are complete strangers. Then you're going to give them a day's overview, what you plan to cover. What makes you unique is what you're going to need to focus on. Why you train people like you do. What are the non-negotiables in your gym? And provide an experience involving all the senses. Now, remember, your attendees need to feel your energy. I like to start out, for example, with a question to everyone, which I write on the whiteboard and circle back to at the end of the session. And my question usually is, oh, what brought you here today? Or what would you like to learn today? And then I'll just make a quick note after everybody's name on the whiteboard and leave that off to the side until we finish the session. You want to point out your cultural things that are very important to you. For instance, I had a sign on the wall that said, I will not injure myself today so I can train tomorrow. And in the orientation, very early on, I pointed out to the sign and told everyone what that meant. And that set a huge signal to people that I was very safety conscious, and that's exactly what I wanted. When it comes to experiencing a workout, I like to use a jump rope because everyone at one time or another in their life has been with the jump rope. So I set up a challenge where can you go 30 seconds with a jump rope? And I tell them we're going to have a challenge of 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off for 4 rounds with a jump rope. And prior to doing this, I also talk about energy systems. I graph out energy systems on the wall because high intensity interval training was what I was doing. And it's by far, in my opinion, the best way to work out, especially for new people. But they need to understand how they're going to feel. And it was so effective diagramming these energy systems that one student looked at me one day, and this is a high school student who was training for something really special. He looked at me and he said, I wish they taught biology this way. And I loved it because I knew he was feeling it. And I also used the high bar to demonstrate inclusiveness because most people can't get really successful in their mind on a high bar unless they can do a pull-up. But the progression I would teach right in this experience was we would set up a line that rotated through the high bar, and the first round through, everyone jumped up, touched the high bar. The second round through, if you could hang on to it, you hung on to it for just a second. But the third time through, if you could do a pull-up, you did a pull-up. But it didn't matter if you could do that or not because success was determined if you could just jump up and touch the bar. And then, of course, that set up a routine that no matter where you were, it was okay because people were taught to cheer for each other. So if we had, for instance, a very overweight person who had all they could do to jump up and touch the bar, they received a round of applause, just like the guy who might be able to do 10 pull-ups. It really didn't matter. And they felt that culture of inclusiveness, and they felt that culture of it's okay wherever you are. I also did another session, oftentimes, a very short session with wall balls and burpees to give them a taste of a mini workout. But keep in mind what I was saying before, it was really important to get everyone included. Now, I know I'm rushing through some of this stuff quite quickly, but I'll give you an opportunity at the end if you want to connect and talk more about this or how you might be able to go to even the next level. Once you've had this event and people have left, now becomes a really important part. And you want to nurture those leads through follow through. And what I like to do, and what I recommend, is that you contact everyone that was in attendance at your event, and I want you to continue this for 12 months. So there's two things, and this should go back to mindset too. There's really two types of people in the world. There are people who are your members and people who are potential members. There's really nothing else. And potential members are the ones where there can be a great return on. You're going to get a few people that are going to say yes right away. And that happened in that example I shared earlier in my gym, where I had all 10 people signed up right away and stayed with me. But there was a lot of times when not everyone is going to sign up. So you're going to want to follow through. And I go around and look at other gyms quite often. And I went to an Orange Theory gym in Greenville, South Carolina, and they were experts at following up. It was incredible. I stopped counting at 30 sometimes that they had reached back out to me, and they used the telephone, they used email, and they used text messaging. And they kept great notes, because there was one time I couldn't return because I had injured my arm. And the next call I got was, "How's your arm injury doing, Ron?" And I was like blown away, because they were a great example of how to follow up. By and large, your best way to follow up is with a phone call. Don't get sucked into thinking that an email is fine. I mean, it may be fine in some cases. And Orange Theory, in my previous example, had a very interesting thing where they did a text message, they did an email, and they did a phone call, but they kept mixing it up and alternating it. So that led me to believe they really truly cared about me. Now, when you follow up, you want to talk about their experience. And if you can find something that everybody did really well, like for instance, if Joyce was in my open event, I might say, I really liked how you smiled when you jumped up and touched that bar. It looked like you hadn't done that for a long time. And that is a very warm and genuine connection. You want to keep that going for 12 months. This is really important that you do that. Without it, you're wasting a lot of time and a lot of energy. So now let's talk about putting this all together. The next four things that I'm going to describe, you can do right away. And I mean today, you can do this. Number one, grab a sheet of paper. That's easy. And start writing. Create your experience on paper first. Create your experience and get it really detailed. I'm going to start immediately on time. My icebreaker is going to take me 2 minutes. And from there, I'm going to go into asking people what they want to get out of today, writing those notes down. That's going to take me 4 minutes, because I'm going to move real fast. And then I'm going to go on to explaining the energy systems and get people involved right away, get them jumping rope. Really important. Schedule it. In other words, you got your experience on paper. Then I want you to schedule it and then promote up until the last minute. Just like in my example at the beginning. You conduct the experience, you create individual goals for everyone. Their first goal should be to come back. That's really important. The first goal is, when a new person comes in, your first goal is to come back again, because we've got a lot of things. And now when I say come back again, it could be they come back for a program you have, or they come back for another one of these events. In my case, I did this every Saturday. It just became a routine thing that I did every Saturday. And here's a couple tips for you. I had it in the morning. I had a group workout that was the most highly attended workout of the week. And it was usually around 8 o'clock in the morning. And I had my orientation right after that group workout. So if you can imagine this, the new people are coming in, getting ready, seeing the existing people doing a workout. As the existing people exit the exercise area, they intermingle with the new people coming in. And that is an incredible opportunity for people to promote the event coming up, because they all know it's going to happen. And I also had coffee right there. So people coming out from their workout were sitting down, having a cup of coffee, talking to the new people coming in. And it was just a real sense of community right off the bat. So that's my ninja trick on how to do this and get the most out of it. Of course, I created a 15-minute gap between the end of the group workout and the beginning of the new people coming in. And I got to tell you, I have trained a lot of people. I've trained people for D1 scholarships in rowing. I've trained people to be parajumpers. I've trained people that want to go to the CrossFit Games. And I have got to tell you, my favorite is working this program of brand new people. There's just something I really like about working with brand new people. I love working with all of them, don't get me wrong, but seeing the brand new people come to life is just heartwarming to me. So again, I would set up these events on a weekly basis. And as I mentioned before, this is mandatory. If you were in my gym, you could come in and sign up for a class, but it was all dependent on you getting through one of these orientation sessions. And you were always invited back. You could come back and bring your friends back to an orientation session. I had people who would come over the holidays and they would come to an orientation session and they lived in other states, but they liked what I did so much and it helped them understand what they were doing back home, that every Christmas they'd show up and I loved it. It was great. It was a nice sense of community. So have it repeatable. And the other advantage of that, somebody says, well, I can't make this Saturday because my kids have a soccer game. No problem. You can do it next Saturday. We've got it scheduled next Saturday or whenever your next one is. Okay. Now, if you're looking at all this and you think that this is a bit much, then you can get help from Six Figure Mastermind. We're available to help you. And I've got a couple different things here. We've got the Six Figure VIP Mastermind or the Six Figure Mastermind Elite. And the difference between the two of them is, what do you want to get out of this experience? In either case, I guarantee we can move your business forward no matter where you are, but it all depends on how much you want to invest. The Six Figure VIP Mastermind is a minimal investment of time and energy. The Mastermind Elite is massive. Those are for people who know exactly where they want to go and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get there fast. And both of these are all about speed. What I've outlined here, you can put together. I know in my recollection, it took me several months to get this orientation down to a science, but it was well worth it because I had a duplicatable plan and I didn't even need to run it after a while. I loved it. As I mentioned before, I love being there, but I had other people that came in and did parts of it. And I remember one of the best things that ever happened, my staff came to me and they said, we think we can do a better job than you do. Now, who's running a business doesn't want to hear that from their staff? And they were good. They were very good. And so I reduced my role over time more and more, but I still kept my fingers in the pie, so to speak. Okay, who are the masterminds for and not for? They are for someone who knows exactly what they want, willing to do the work, willing to be a resource for others, because the mastermind is a group mentoring coaching program. It's not for someone unwilling to be a resource to other people, closed-minded, happy where they are. This is not the program for you if you fit in that not for category on the right. It's for you if you fit in the category on the left. So let's talk about what you get with the mastermind. Six Figure VIP is the lower level. You get a weekly hangout, supporting community, monthly masterclass, monthly Q&A. So you have access to all kinds of information that you probably don't have now, because again, the mastermind's a small group of people. This is really important. It's a small group of people by intention so that we can be supportive of each other, learn and grow fast. And of course, there's more that will come over the next year. The Elite Mastermind weekly coaching. This is huge. Besides just the weekly hangouts, we have weekly coaching and the weekly hangouts, monthly masterclass, monthly whiteboard. And this is really a very neat thing where you can put your goals on the whiteboard. And then at the end of the month, we have some hot seats and we have individual monthly check-ins. So it's a much more rich program, if you will. What you're going to have, again, is limited enrollment. So it's a real community and your outcomes and transformations are literally revolutionizing your business. In January, for instance, we are going to focus on developing this funnel that I've described. Now, as I mentioned before, you can take all this information and you can create your own funnel, or we can help you and get it done much faster. In my case, it took me quite a while to get everything down, my timings and all that. But if you're part of the mastermind, it'll probably take you maybe 2 weeks at the most to get it down. And that's with personalizing it for your situation too. Really important to keep that in mind. So your next step, take this and run with it. Or you can investigate how Six Figure trainers can help you speed the process up. The way to figure that out, to see if you think this is a fit for you, because that's what it's really all about. Although, again, it's a two-way street. I want to make sure we have a fit for everyone that's perfect for them and the group. You can reach out to me. There's a short interview with myself. It's mandatory for anyone in either of the master classes. It's really important that you know that. There's nothing personal, it's just mandatory. I want to make sure we've got the right combination of people. You could text me at that number, 585-737-3316. You can write to me at RG at Six Figure Trainers. You can find me. I'm out there. I do want to thank you for taking the time to be here. I want to encourage you to check out what we have to offer. And I want to encourage you, whatever you do, create a funnel like this. If you can just imagine that everybody goes through the same orientation, everybody understands your culture because they've experienced it, everybody understands the energy system, how you train, why you train, and you populate in their success stories. That's one thing I didn't talk too much about. I like to bring in existing members who've had a success so that they can chime in, and we carefully orchestrate this, what they're going to say and where they're going to say it. Not so much what they're going to say, but the general concept of what they're going to say, but where in the presentation they're going to fit in. And those kinds of things are such incredible details, because this whole thing comes across as carefully orchestrated, professional, and it differentiates you from the person down the street. Because I can tell you for a fact, most people are not doing this stuff. For me, sometimes with my clients who are paying me a great deal of money, it's a hard sell because they just don't see it. But those that have done it see incredible results. And I could tell you more stories about that, but I don't want to take up your time. I appreciate you being here very much. I look forward to hearing from you, and I want to wish you a happy new year. Once again, take advantage of all this and enjoy everything you do. And remember, you're making a huge difference in people's lives. Always have that attitude, a humble attitude that, yes, I can help you. I can help you achieve those New Year's goals, because if they come in, they're serious. They stop and they quit because they don't find the right place or the right people that care about them. And you are the solution to that. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.